What age was life the hardest for you? 13 or 14. And the years before that are not any better. I was bullied very hard in school, including physical abuse. When I graduated, life only got better. The age I am at now, which is 21, I feel like ages 19 to 25 are the years at where you are trying to figure yourself out and who you want to be. Not only that, finances are at your lowest. 26, the year my mom died from cancer. Current age, it just gets more difficult. Every single fucking day. Every day is the worst day of my life. 12-13. Middle school was hell. I am 25 right now. But I went through a crazy depressive episode when I was 21 due to a bad breakup. Couldn't even find solace in sleep. My dreams would wake me up crying. Was a horrible time. Learned who I was. Improved myself. Evolved. Came out a different man. That's for sure. 5th grade. I switched schools and had no friends. 17. It all seemed easy after that. 7. For sure. I vividly remember that year and think back on it a lot. 12-14. My dad almost died. My brother died. My dog died. I had my first breakup and my best friends unfriended me. I don't know how I did it. Middle school years. They have literally mostly vanished from my memory. 13. HS wasn't great, but 8th grade was hell. Late 20s. It was when it became glaringly obvious that everything I was taught about the world, society, etc., does match the reality I saw. From there it took many more years to reconcile with that fact and figure out how to build a life out of what we actually have versus what we were told we were going to have growing up. X200B. I feel super bad because I see so many people at that same age going through the same thing right now. 14 for me. That was my first year in a high school where I knew absolutely nobody. But everyone else knew each other. It wasn't easy breaking into their friend groups. Either 14 or 20. For the most part it's a trend in the positive direction. 38. Birth until somewhere in my early 20s. My childhood was filled with lots of abuse. Adulting is hard, but has never been as hard as my childhood. Just keeps getting harder. 25. I was suicidal. The entire span of my 20s was really hard. I was very depressed, and very much into self-medicating. 5-17 was horrible. There were many very difficult times afterwards, but my school years were hell. 14-18 high school was hell for me. High school was the worst, took me to lows I never saw again. Even at the worst of the 30 years since then. Probably right now 33 years old. I'm a new dad to a 1-year-old working full-time and going to school full-time while my GF stays home with the kid and doesn't work. Constantly stressing financially with a lot of weight on my shoulders, and because of that, I ended up with shingles a few months ago. Never been so stressed in my life. GF seems like she doesn't want to work or step in to help me out since I live paycheck to paycheck, making sure we have a roof over our heads. I DK how long I can keep doing this, because whenever I bring up money or wanting help, it turns into an argument. FML. Maybe 20. If you asked me 2 years ago, I'd say late teens. But now, it's my current age of 41. Arthritis so bad that I have to get my partner to open the bottle of Tylenol for me. I knew I would get it eventually. But no one else in my family was affected by it this early in life. Age 7 brought trauma that triggered lifelong chronic illnesses and PTSS. 70 very difficult years. But I am still fighting. 17? It's kind of a toss-up for anything between 12-18. Life got infinitely better when I was 22 onwards. 16-18. Like 12-16 or something. God, I hated being a teen. My teenage years were absolutely miserable. From living memory to the current day. 30s. Everyone dies. It sucks. 13. Teenager. Now the fuck. 1923. It was the hardest because I was desperately poor, but also really fun and where I learned the most. I'm 42 now. Discovered my ex-wife cheating during one of the hardest work projects of my life when I was about 33. I lost so much weight people were asking if I had cancer. I ended up getting pneumonia and they took blood samples to try and find out why. The doc tested me for AIDS and didn't tell me till afterward. He didn't say it was because I looked like shit, but I figured that was part of it. Luckily there was no cancer or AIDS, so at least that was good. I just look like death from all the stress. It's like levels in a game. Each level is harder than the previous one. Now in my 30s. 38. My current age. Nothing is getting easier. Birth and beyond. All of them. Currently. Mid-20s. Making in a month as much as others my age make in a year, but God is it tough. No rest. No sleep. No one to relate to. I hope it gets better with age. 21. Please make me your virtual assistant to make it easier, lol. 24 was the best and worst year of my life. 15-16 was pretty hard too. As was 28. I'm 34 now. And honestly, this year's been no picnic either. Sophomore to senior in college 2022, and then the first 2 years after having twins 28-30. The event that created my hardest part of my life was an outside effect that can occur in anyone's life at any point in time. Is not age dependent. 24. Every year has gotten progressively worse. Since 10 I watched my mom beat her Sil while my parents were in the midst of a nasty breakup. Then watched listen to my mom sell herself to my dad's best friend to pay for food. We had no running water, so I had to use a crockpot as a bathroom and empty it outside. My grandfather put down my first dog with a hammer while I watched took more than one hit. I had my first drink that year, thanks mom. Ran away from home for the first time. Had the first of many guns pointed at me. Every year has gotten progressively worse for me since then. 16-27 with 22-26 being living hell. But I never underestimate the chance of reaching even lower lows. 26-39 when I was being abused by a psychopathic sadist. 15. Elementary middle school friends had moved away or moved on, and I hadn't made my core high school friends yet and couldn't get a job to at least spend my lonely time making money for a car. 25. This year. 16 centimeters 6.5 in. 12. 15-32. 19-ish. I was trying to figure out who I was while trying to figure out women and engineering school. From birth until now, life has been giving me unwanted prison sex my whole life with no end in sight. 23. So much bad shit happened that year and I was pretty miserable emotionally. That's when my drinking started becoming a problem too. I don't know, yet. Yes. 12-14 first years in senior school and I hated every minute of it. By 15, everything had worked itself out and I was enjoying myself. 23.